Good morning, everyone. We are live with Mimi Morgan, who has a fantastic story she's going to tell us, with Dr. Kiltz and his blue water, and Dr. Nelson and myself. I got to go live on a few more things. See you soon. But we're live. Take it away, Dr. Nelson.
Good morning, everybody. How is everybody doing this morning? Where are you coming from? Good morning, good afternoon, good night. It's May 27th, 6 a.m. How are you doing, Dr. Kiltz?
I'm very well. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Another beautiful day in paradise. Though I'm having trouble getting my Instagram up live. Maybe you've already, did you get Instagram?
I did it. I do have Instagram up. I think tomorrow you'll do it. We'll talk about why later. But everybody, the hashtag today is hashtag Mimi for a Kiltz's Keto. She has to win. Kiltz's Keto is carnivore. There you go. Hashtag Mimi.
All right. Take it away, Dr. Nelson.
So, Mimi, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Where are you coming to us from?
I'm coming from Charleston, South Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah, deep in the low country.
Yeah.
I am down in Florida.
Okay.
And Dr. Kiltz is up in New York, and Ali is far away from all of us. But
right here. Civilization.
Mimi, you do have a wonderful story, and we want to concentrate on that. If people have any questions, put QQQ before it. Maybe we can see it easier. If you're not a member of the Kiltz Mighty Tribe, go down to the description. The link is there for you to sign up. The link for our meetups coming up. We're going to talk about those as well. The two coming up are now in June. What happened? Seattle, Washington, and Boston, Massachusetts in the month of June. KiltzMeetup.com or drkiltz.com. Anyways, Mimi, why don't you tell us who you are and why you're here, and tell us your story of healing is what I am calling it.
Okay. So I turned 70 last year. Yeah, I know it's actually pretty good. I thought it was going to be painful, but it really is wonderful. My 60s were horrendous. I was pretty sick during those. So this is the 70s, a great reemergence. I grew up in the Northeast, grew up in the country, nose to tail, eating, with the root cellar and the meat hanging, and, fresh eggs and local produce. So I really had a great foundation growing up of what it was to eat well. Our family seemed to miss all the packaged food that came around. My mother was a stay-at-home mom, so did a lot of cooking. So I had a great foundation, which in a lot of ways saved me. I did have childhood asthma, quite severe, grew out a good part of it in my early teens, was an active equestrian, showed nationally. And so I had, pretty normal childhood, had 3 children. And it was around that time that the low fat craze came in, and, wanting to be, and I always was, slim and trim, except for took a little bit of time to get weight off after pregnancy. I jumped onto that bandwagon of low fat. And then I went into the vegetarian. I was vegan for 6 years. And, pretty, a diet, even though a healthy diet of good food, since I had that foundation, it was pretty plant-based. Ended up in my 50s, had a career around then, and found myself working nonstop, really getting into the grind, going through menopause, and broke my wrist. had to have surgery, and that really was the catalyst for me of the downward spiral. It happened pretty fast after that. Developed Dupuytren's disease. Had another surgery on that wrist for soft tissue repair. And while I was going through a new treatment for Dupuytren's, which was radiation, the doctor noticed that there was something wrong with me. I was in a lot of pain, having a lot of trouble moving, and I was sent to a rheumatologist, was diagnosed with RA. Did the course of the prednisone for the year, the whole gamut of the 4 drugs, including the biologics, and had allergic reaction to one of them, which affected me a lot of episodes where I would be lost where I was, and that triggered off a lot of neuro symptoms. So about 2 years after I was diagnosed with RA, I was by one of the top centers, and eventually 3 of the top centers in the U.S. My daughter took me to with a Parkinson's disease, and was immediately put on drugs. I had a lot of balance issues, had cognitive slowing. My executive function started to fail. And about 2.5 years after that diagnosis, I had to quit work. It was a job I had been in. It was a managerial job for 11 years. So, I mean, I knew it, backwards and forwards. And all of a sudden, I couldn't do minor math. Couldn't really carry out functions well, and it took its toll on me. One of the medicines that I was put on, which is the gold standard, is carbidopa levodopa. And I was on 1,200 milligrams a day, which is an exorbitant amount for my early stage. But I started to have a lot of autonomic dysfunction, dystonia, night terrors, a slew of other things that can come along with Parkinson's, usually in the later stage, I was having early on. And one of the things with that drug is you're not allowed to have protein when you take it. And I wanted to function in the day. So and also nausea. I lived on graham crackers and bananas because I'm taking pills every 3.5 hours. And then would have maybe a fistful of protein, 4 to 5 ounces, still no fat, at the end of the day when it didn't matter if my symptoms showed because I was home alone. About 2.5 years into that, I had what was really considered one of my best days. Sat on a bench, had a stroke. And it was a medium-sized stroke. I came through it pretty well, but sadly was infected with, from the IV, was infected with MRSA. Was not treated properly. They sent me home with a PICC line. It was ineffective antibiotic, and 2.5 weeks later, I ended up back in emergency. Now it spread to my spine, causing osteomyelitis, discitis. I had it in my spinal canal and a cyst in my muscles, and I had surgery in the middle about 2:00 in the morning for surgical debridement, and I was given less than a 50% chance of surviving ever. Because it encapsulates. It had been in for too long. I was in the hospital for about hospital and rehab for about 3 months. I've always been an athlete, kayaked, backpack was 65 pounds, again, equestrian, and now I'm walking around with a walker and I can barely move. And that was in 2019. And that's a lot to handle, but I mean, it really hit me that hard, that fast. I went downhill that fast.
Wow.
So you were having rheumatoid arthritis, Parkinson's disease, you had a stroke, which very often leaves you with multiple symptoms in the long term. And the other 2 are chronic progressive, ever worsening diseases that medicines may help improve, but there is no specific cure, correct?
Correct. Correct. I mean, they believe MRSA once it gets to a point, it encapsulates and hides for an opportune moment, and that's been my experience. I haven't had an episode in a year and a half, but yeah, I couldn't empty the bottom of the dishwasher, and couldn't put my socks on. Had to sit to shower and wash my hair. It took me 10 minutes to roll over. I was at a pretty low level functioning level at this point.
And when did you, I would say, rediscovered, because you said growing up you had a meat-heavy diet. When did you rediscover that the diet actually had an impact on your health?
Well, I went along like this for about a year and a half doing physical therapy, and it really was at an absolute point I was going to give up and just let it take me, because I just couldn't get well, and I was just getting sicker. At this point, I'm on 13 plus medications, and I'm barely functioning. I'm barely having a life. So it was about a year and a half later, I had an epiphany. My 10-step one, where I just started to take 10 more steps every day to try to do something. And at this point now, since I'm so inactive and I'm on a high carb diet, I've put on some weight. So I went to go see somebody across the street, a former actually chiropractor, for weight loss, just to try to ease up the pain in my back was pretty severe. And he's the one that proposed to me 50% fat diet, 25 protein, 25 carbs. I thought he was absolutely nuts. For one, the first thing out of and I told him he was nuts. The first thing out of my thought is, well, my Parkinson's medicine isn't going to work. And he said, well, you're pretty sick and you're not doing well the way you are. Are you willing to trust me? And so I did trust him. It took about 6 to 9 months, probably closer to the 9 months, where and I'm starting to feel better at the 6-month mark. Not a whole lot before, but I started to notice improvement. Like, I didn't need my Parkinson's medicine every 3.5 hours. I could go 4.5 hours. And I noticed my symptoms weren't as severe. I started to feel cognitively clearer, sharper. And so it was at that point, around the 9-month mark, that a light bulb went off on my head that, oh my gosh, food has the impact. And at that point, and I talked to him about it, and at that point, I just started to run with it, adding more fat and more protein and less carbs. So I eventually got down to, basically no carbs.
When was that?
It started to happen at 9 months. It took me another year or so.
How long ago?
So let's see. So that was about 4 years ago where that healing journey happened.
All right. I see several questions, Alia. You want to?
Sure. Okay. Pregnancy Safe Cosmetics. Akshan, did you lose your sense of smell before you were diagnosed with Parkinson's? They say you lose your sense of smell about 10 years before. If you did, how long before, and was it total loss?
So I actually didn't lose my smell. What I did get was called phantosomia. So I would have odd smoke smells all the time. So I did have that dysfunction. I did notice it 10 years before. For me, one of my first symptoms was had trouble swinging my left arm and was dragging my left leg. And a little bit of slowness of movement were my first symptoms.
Okay.
But that is common that a lot of people do. And no, I didn't I just had odd smoke smells.
Interesting. Here's another question. We had another one. I have to find the other question. This is from Thomas. How long did you have your PICC line? Mine were usually about 6 to 8 weeks.
3 months, because I had a lot of antibiotic fails. So 3 months I walked around with it in.
Here's a question from Amy. Brisket Boomers. One of my friends has Parkinson's. on that drug and trying to do carnivore. I was hoping she'd be watching. She's trying to figure out how to take the drug and eat meat. How did you stop the drug?
Well, it took a year and a half before I felt confident to start to wean myself off. And I did about, 25 milligrams a day. So I did it very slowly. I just ate the meat and fat. I simply just had to trust that the meat, and I ate it while I took my medicine. And eventually it outperformed. I'm on 0 medication from 1,200 milligrams.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I just had to.
I was going to say the problem with the medication is that protein interferes with the absorption of the medication.
Correct.
So
Yep.
whatever you're taking, if you do it at the same time, you take, you absorb less of the medicine. The other problem is it is a medication used frequently during the day. So you're taking a bunch of, several times a day. And whenever you eat, if you're eating a steak, it's going to interfere with the absorption of the medication. So, a matter of timing, you have to work out when to eat. But basically, you transition over a year. You said
A year and a half. Yeah, but for me, I was taking every 3.5 hours. So the first 45 minutes, and I had a lot of off symptoms, and even did a clinical trial. So it takes about 45 minutes for you to absorb it, and then you reach a peak at about the 1.5 hour mark for somebody with my time window, and then it starts to come down. So I had about a half an hour window where I could eat the protein, eat the fat, if that, before I needed my next doses of medicine. And I just simply overrode it. I simply just ate what I knew my body needed, and ended up the protein and fat ended up outperforming the medication.
What did your neurologist have to say?
So it's interesting. I got a little pushback from doctors. A lot of them didn't want to hear. And my movement disorder. So I'm at a very clean keto. I was pretty close to carnivore, but I did allow a few things at this point. I've only been carnivore for 2 years. And there's more to the story why I transitioned to that. But, I said to her, I'm changing my diet. I'm not avoiding fat and protein, and I'm actually feeling better. And she concurred that my symptoms were better. And she's one of my favorite doctors. She didn't say much. She noted it in my chart, was a little curious. And that was about it. Most of them didn't want to hear. And there was a marked change. And I have actually pinned on my Twitter the picture that I just discovered. I looked 20 years older than I look now at age 61. It's pretty sad sight. I was pretty lost.
During that time that you were reducing your medication for Parkinson and getting better, where was your rheumatoid arthritis? Were you also reducing medication?
That was the first thing. So the heartburn was the first thing that went away. And I was on a heavy dose of that. And no surprise, all the medication I'm taking. And my rheumatoid arthritis got better, was the first thing that improved, clearly. It just took that 9 months for the neuro symptoms. And that's really when the light bulb went off. Because, I knew that with Parkinson's, gluten can affect you, nightshades can affect. I wasn't particularly surprised that improved. The neuro symptoms really was the one that I was just like, wow, like, how is this possible?
I still think like that. How is this possible?
Yeah, I know. Well, pinch me every day. I'm really grateful, but it is. I keep getting better.
Dr. Giltz?
Mimi, this is a fascinating story. Thank you for sharing it. This isn't easy to get out there and share it. Menopausal symptoms and hormone replacement. What are your
So-
thoughts and experience with that?
Well, at this point, I'm postmenopausal when this was going on. And I had a rough time with menopause. Hormone replacement never worked for me. So I tried a couple of times with it and it didn't work with me. So I went through it without any hormone replacement. Now, did I? So I really don't have and I suffered with the hot flashes. If I had had the diet I have now, I would have to believe that I would have gone through it very easily.
And no medications.
I believe so. Yeah, because I'm on 0 medications now. So I have to believe that I would have gone through it with 0 medication and minor symptoms if I was on the diet I am on now.
And would you say that your diagnosis of rheumatoid arthritis and Parkinson's is secondary to the side effects of the plant-based diet more than anything?
I feel like, so I think basically what you're asking, if I had eaten the way I am now, would I have escaped those diagnoses? I believe so. Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure how I could come to another conclusion, because I have 0 symptoms of anything. And the importance of that at my age really can't be understated, because if I can heal and turn things around at my age, well, imagine what I could have done 20 some years ago before, things happen. So yeah.
And you're 49, you said?
Yes.
Okay.
Only in my head, and that's what counts, right?
You look 49 to me.
Well, I feel pretty good. I'm really active. I mean, I've chipped at it every single day, and I'm really active. And I went carnivore because I actually was doing really well, gotten off of all of the medication except for the antibiotics. They wanted me on antibiotics for life. I mean, the infection was really spread in my body, really bad. I had a cyst in my spinal canal for about 6 months. One of the reasons why I was in PICC line also for so long, and if that bursts, that goes right to your brain and you die. And I was in pretty poor shape. So I kept getting infections. I had a bout of a pneumonia, and the MRSA came back on my skin, which was interesting because it was, bloodborne through the IV. And it was at this point that I thought, well, I've just got to streamline my diet. And this is where I'm not thinking, well, I need other medication, but I wanted to get off the antibiotics. I was on Bactrim DS 750 twice a day, and for 3.5 years. And I knew that was going to come back and get me if I didn't get off of it. And they didn't want me to. I actually had to disregard doctor's orders for that one and take a chance. But I went carnivore to streamline my diet even more. And I have not had an occurrence on my skin for 1.5 years. So it's really paid off. Whether I still harbor it in my body is another story, but I mean, that's pretty incredible. I had like 3 outbreaks of it and had to go on pills, and didn't have to go to the hospital for the IV, but I actually had to go on the highest medication before that. And my last outbreak, 1.5 years, I was able to use topical cream, and it went away pretty well, and no episodes for 1.5 years. So I think that's pretty amazing.
Go ahead, Dr. Hill.
Yeah, well, so you're not using a walker?
No, actually I walk 18, 20 miles. I'm a distance walker. I'm training to walk 500 miles across Spain. I weight train. I wait. It really is, because I mean, I barely take 10 steps, which is my 10-step story. I weight train. I vertical leg press 220. I'm working on lifts, and I'm at 100 pounds. I only weigh 120. I weight train with a personal trainer 3 years, 4 times a week. And I distance walk. So no, all that's gone. The cane's gone. I still work on balance. We all have to. Yeah, I mean, we all do.
Were you at some point using a wheelchair?
No, but I did need a walker. And when I started weight training 3 years ago, I only could lift 10 pounds, and now with a barbell-less, I do 100 pounds.
Yeah, I've got
Wow.
Kilt's Mighty Tribe. Judy Jones asked about the walker. Very, very commenting how awesome that is. Susan Shaver, carnivore now 2 years, age 79 years young. Great results. Arthritis pain gone. Off 6 to 7 meds, including heart meds, under Dr. Cardiologist supervision. But ferritin is elevated. Got a biopsy, waiting for the biopsy results. But I just wonder if all of our laboratory tests are mostly wrong anyway, and stop measuring, and you feel the benefits of a carnivore lifestyle. I'm going to be going down to Costa Rica talking about menopause, and I know there are a lot of people out in our world that believe hormone replacement therapy is of value in all of this, and I'm going with the conversation and the belief that all of our symptoms are likely secondary to a plant low-fat diet. And so maybe as we begin to transition to a carnivore diet, the symptoms of menopause, as they've labeled them, hot flashes, mood swings, depression,
Insomnia.
Yeah, that's a big one.
And multitude of the symptoms are not due to a lack of reproductive hormones. It's due to the inflammation caused by the diet that we've all been consuming for way too long.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I absolutely agree. And to your point, the third time I was at the hospital, I go in with a walker. I have a PICC line. I couldn't move, and I went to go take a step, and I couldn't take one, and I knew something was wrong. And so we went to the hospital, and they said, your blood work is perfect. Go home. And thank goodness my son-in-law said, no, we are absolutely not leaving. She's complaining of back pain. And they said, well, of course she has back pain. She's been in the hospital, it's been sedentary, and he insisted on an MRI. And that's when they discovered the osteomyelitis discitis with perfect lab results. So, people ask me, do I get my labs done? I will get them done this year. I haven't had them done in 4 years. My answer is I feel perfect. What am I getting them done for? And I've had them done being told that I was perfect, and then 12 hours later saying, you've got less than a 50% chance of living. So I think there may be some little bit of a value, but I don't know. I just don't believe they have the value that's been put on them.
At the peak of the amounts of medication, you say you were taking 15?
A 13 plus easy, yes. I mean, last count, I had B12 deficiency. I took shots. I mean, I had, I just had a host of things. And my asthma medicine, I've been on asthma medicine. I was diagnosed at 2 years of age, pretty severe. I've been on asthma medicine every day of my life up until I was 68 years of age. I've been off of it for 2 years.
It's so incredible.
I mean, it really is. It really is. And I mean, that's a long time to be on that medication for your whole life, depending on it. And I've been off for 2 years. So, yeah, I mean, I had an app to log them in. I had so many. It was just it was overwhelming to keep track of them.
Your story is giving hope to Judy Jones and many others that are watching this either live right now or going to be continuing to watch this over the coming days, weeks, months, and years on how our diets have been deadly for so long. And much of what Dr. Nelson and myself have trained to treat is diseases that we thought were just going to happen to you no matter what you did, and you're just unlucky, or genetics or things like that. But Judy Jones says she's on a walk, using a walker and giving her hope. You're inspiring carnivore just 2 months now. What would you say to those that are thinking about carnivore or new to carnivore and have been having musculoskeletal issues, neurovascular issues, and pretty much every disease we've ever talked about?
Yeah. Well, you have to give it time. So I'm 4 years in my journey, 2 years carnivore. Every time I think I'm at my best, I find I get better. And you can walk in a walker. I did. I got up to a mile in a walker. I think for me, doing what I could do without being in an enormous amount of pain, which would set me back, I figured out what I could do consistently. And I did it every day without fail. Sometimes we sabotage ourselves by setting something up that's too far down the line. And then we stop doing it because it hurts too much. So, that for me, 10 steps was what I could do. And I did them every day and it changed me. And within, a year, I was walking 1 or 2 miles. But you can walk in a walker. And you have to give it time. It was close to 9 months of a very restricted, clean keto diet before I had enough improvement that the light bulb went off. And then again, even at that point, at 9 months, I would have told you that you were a liar if you told me I could have gotten as well as I am now. I mean, I still couldn't see how I could heal through everything I had. I thought, well, okay, I can have a halfway normal mobility life, maybe walk 1 or 2 miles, which meant, going on a trail or, doing something and being active. I never could have imagined I'd be where I am now. So I think you just have to keep going. I didn't get sick overnight. This was something that I probably was setting myself up with, and then I had a catalyst, and then I went downhill quick. And so you can't expect for it to happen overnight, and just don't quit.
Is it ever too late to start?
Oh, I don't believe so. And that doesn't mean that you can turn around and heal to the extent I did. But no, I don't believe it's ever too late. Never. I mean, as long as we're here, there's hope. How much you can turn around, I really think it depends on what you're dealing with and how committed you are. I was pretty committed to it. I was faithfully committed. Well, I started to feel better. I started not to be in pain. I have severe osteoarthritis as well, and a number of joints. I'm pain free. I'm pain free from it all, but I stay with it, and I didn't quit. And that's really important. Don't quit.
Awesome. We've got several questions, so I want to go through them. Larry Ryan, I don't really have a question. I just want to say thanks to Mimi for her story. I follow her on X, and her just 10 more steps is fantastic. Enjoy your 500-mile walk.
Thank you.
Sharon says, McCabe, wow, thank you. My husband could not smell for years. What drug? He has been carnivore, and I noticed he quit shaking until he goofs up on his diet.
Carnivore. Next one. Just keep going down them, Allie.
Okay, good.
I'll click and you go down them. Hit them.
Oh, okay, good. Jerry Graham, can you please tell us about what you ate during your healing journey and what your eating habits are now?
My healing journey, I started again slow, 50 fat, 25 protein, 25 carbs, all clean. I'm a good eater. That doesn't mean I didn't have chips back then with a sandwich, but I didn't have a whole lot of processed food to throw away. So that was pretty easy. And that within 6 months changed where I got to 70, 80% fat. And so I was eating a lot of hamburger, not draining the fat, eating, steak, eating the fat with it. A few vegetables, few fruits at that time. I wasn't, dairy doesn't work for me. So dairy pretty much is eliminated for my diet. And then carnivore, 2 years, I eat beef, live by the water. So I will have, and I'm also Catholic. So I'll eat either fast or eat fish on Friday, oysters. Occasionally I'll have chicken. I make my own bone broth. I have butter. Eggs don't sit with me well. I quit eggs a year ago. I wish I could have them, and I may try again, but I just do better streamlined. And I'll eat bison, elk. That's pretty much it. I don't drink, and I do have my coffee in the morning, black, and I don't drink, and water.
What symptoms do you get with dairy?
I mean, my whole digestive system just shuts down.
Okay.
I mean, that's it. It just does. I mean, it doesn't matter what kind, how expensive the cheese have. But I've always been dairy intolerant my whole life. And I even tried with raw goat milk. We have a farm here. Tried making my own, kefir, my own yogurt, my own cheeses. If I travel and have some, I might, if it's a special occasion, but typically I'll pay for it for about 5 days. So it's just not worth it for me.
All right. Next one, Elkie Kasky. Friend has something that is in Parkinson's family. The med he is on are Parkinson's meds. So same protein issue. Have you heard of other issues that use these meds? Wish you would try carnivore, I guess.
No, the only thing is I had severe nausea with the medicine. That was just, even after over a year of it, I struggle with that. A lot of people think when they think protein, they also think fat. That goes hand in hand. I still continue to take a little MCT oil, and I put a little coconut oil in my coffee, sort of as a protective, and then help me I do better when I'm in ketosis. So I make sure that I have a high fat diet. I just made sure I got my protein, and I can't eat all the protein I need in that one meal necessarily. But no other than the protein is the big one. And, just at the end of the day. And then a lot of people have sleep issues. So, they're getting the protein with chicken and not a steak at the end of the day, which I was doing when I was on the medication.
Okay, here's the next question, and then we have a super chat. Julie Marie, how has your family, friends reacted to the amazing changes? Are they all carnivore now?
No, they're not, but they're leaning towards it. I have one that just messaged me, and she's pretty much down to carnivore. She's eliminated the coffee even,
Wow.
but has an avocado. She's not ready to give up her avocado, which is fine. She's a lot younger. The first, and they are eating more beef. Not necessarily from me, because I'm mom. Nobody listens to mom. But and at first they were like, whatever you do. I know. Yes, exactly. But if they hear it from somebody else, they'll tell me, oh my gosh, I'm eating more beef because I heard this. So I'm like, what do you think I've been doing? The first reaction was, whatever you do, we don't care. It's amazing. When I got well, it was like, aren't you carrying this too far? Don't you want a salad? And a little pushback. And now they're just like, you are just doing so phenomenal. We can't believe it. just do it. So now when I go visit, they know to have. I eat a lot of ground beef and a lot of beef shanks. And they load up the refrigerator for me when I'm coming because they know that's what I'm going to eat.
Excellent. Next one is thank you, Epi, for your $10 super chat. Any tips on becoming fat adapted? I currently have issues absorbing fat and have bad bowel movements every time I restart carnivore. Any tips on how to slowly add it to my diet without the issue?
Oh, that's probably for the doctor. I had no issue. My body was soaking it up like, wow. So I never had an issue. I don't know if you're going too fast or can go slower. That's probably a good question for the doctor.
So there is one word in all, in the statement and question there, and the word is slowly.
Yeah.
And that's where you have to start. Also, you might want to try to identify if there is any type of fat that's causing more symptoms than other. And I'm sure Dr. Kills has some suggestions about which type of fat to eat.
Well, rendered fat is one of the biggest problems. So cooked fat is our biggest problem. So it's really doing as raw as possible. I think is the best, but I would say no pain, no gain. And so you're gonna suffer in changes like this. It's just like learning to crawl, walk, and run. So sometimes you have to push through them a little bit. But I think fasting helps. And I think that you could transition a little slowly, leaner meat, begin to add more fat to it is another way to do it. Some people can't tolerate butter because it's a milk product, but that's another way. But raw, I think, is the very best way over the rendered and cooked stuff.
And I'm a big faster too. I implemented that on pretty quick. Intermittent fasting, but
how many times a day are you eating right now, Mimi?
So I'm just gonna change now to two, and really probably just because I weight train and I'm just feeling, and it's summertime, it's just hard to eat what I need in the one meal. So I'm just gonna do two, but I have a very narrow window. So and I get nauseous when I train, and I don't usually train, and not usually done to around 2-3 o'clock. So I'll have bone broth, maybe with some beef, and 3 hours later have my biggest meal. I'm done eating by 5. So between 1 and 5 is my window of eating.
I think that our need to eat is related to the fat stores in our body. And we are built to fast. We don't. Our need to eat is more psychological and habitual, meaning it's been our habits. But our muscles that move, including our cardiac muscles and our arms, obviously, they only work on the fat that is stored and circulated in your bloodstream that then delivers acetyl-CoA to your mitochondria. And so, a lot of it is, again, it's all psychological more than anything. You could get up and you're motivated to move. You got to go hunting for a week or two to find the meal. But that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I don't think we need to eat that much either. And it takes a while to change. I mean, I did it an hour at a time, but it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And often it's just one time. I'm just trying to get a little bit more in. So I'm having a bone broth and shredded beef kind of snack, and then my meal, a couple hours later. But I have no cravings at night. I don't wake up hungry. I wake up, ready to go for my day, and I'll have something after I train.
Okay. Next question. Target primary. When you stopped needing the walker for the first time, did you shout out and dance in the street?
No, I wasn't in a good frame of mind. I didn't, and I went to a cane. So no, I was having a hard time. my chances of recovery, not only was I told, you know, it was in my head that my chances were slim, and I was only 65 at the time, so no, my spirits were pretty down. You know, I'm like a kid shouting and excitement when, you know, I add, you know, another 20 pounds to a leg press. I get really, you know, excited, but mentally, I wasn't very hopeful then. So no, sadly.
Do you utilize any other modalities, meditation, prayer, mindfulness, or light therapy, or Tai Chi, or, you know, sort of what other things you think are also helpful on this journey of whatever diseases we're diagnosed with?
So definitely prayer. I pray the rosary every day. Prayer is really important. Sunlight. I get sun every day. And I'm up for the sunrise, and I'm pretty much in bed when the sun sets. And that just schedule works really good for me. It's important. I watch blue light. I wear blue light blockers, and I unplug a couple hours before bed. You know, not on a screen, not, you know, I don't watch much TV, but if I'm on my iPad or something, because I am on Twitter a lot, you know, I wear blue light blockers. And, you know, I work part-time two mornings a week at the senior center, and we do have those awful lights, and I wear blue light blocking glasses because I'm in front of a computer screen. But, you know, all of those help me. Sunlight. I get plenty of sleep, and I still need my 8 to 10 hours. I know a lot of carnivores don't. I've always slept at least 8 hours my whole life, and I still need it today, and I get my 8 to 10 hours. And one of the things I was treated for, and it got so bad that I would have to go get Botox as an outpatient patient, was I had a neurogenic bladder. And it was severe down to where every 45 minutes I'm feeling like my bladder's full, when it isn't. And neurogenic bladder is where your bladder doesn't get the right messages, and you could fast and have nothing to drink all day, and your bladder's telling you're going to burst. So I had Botox every 6 months in the hospital with anesthesia. So, I mean, it was a procedure. No longer. 3 years I have not had it, and I sleep the 8 to 10 hours without waking up to use the restroom. That's pretty good. There's not many. I don't know many 40-year-olds that go through the whole night without sleeping. So again, I think we're talking inflammation. And I don't run to the restroom after 10 hours of sleeping, and I'm 70. And everybody thinks it's normal to get up, you know, 2 or 3 or 4 times a night. And I go the whole night now.
Awesome. Here's another question. JJ Lidyard. Okay. I feel addicted to carbs and I can't escape. How do you kick the addiction and stick to carnivore before you hit rock bottom and have to do carnivore?
Keep increasing your fat. That's what I did. I mean, for me, I got to get my fat up high, and then you start to feel satiated. You know, another, and sometimes you just got to just kind of white knuckle it through it. But having a high fat diet, like the doctor said, no pain, no gain. You know, none of this was particularly easy, but the alternative was worse.
Go out there and first of all, get a trash can, throw away everything else in your house, food-wise, snack-wise, and go to the market, buy bacon, eggs, butter, beef, and salt, and you know, pig out.
Yeah.
And the mindset is, I am a lion, I am a carnivore, and I enjoy this. I don't use the words I am addicted to carbs. You could say I'm addicted to meat. I love meat. It's a mindset, and keep watching and listening to Mimi and others. And I think that's the one biggest part to this journey. As you begin to dig deep and dive into this carnivore mindset and lifestyle, it It's like you go to the gym, you're just sitting around. No, you got to get up, you got to lift a few weights because other people are doing it. So it's the mirror neurons that are working for you as you immerse yourself in the concepts and ideas and the people doing it. The brain will begin to tell the right story, and you will no longer use the concepts and ideas that I'm addicted.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so the next question. We talked about that one. Dr. Kilt, Mr. Bulk 24, Dr. Kilt is someone that lives an active lifestyle. How many meals a day should I eat on carnivore and how much?
0 to 1. 0 to 1. Remember, as I said earlier, the fat is the fuel on your body. The food you eat must be digested and converted to fat in the liver via insulin, or if you're a carnivore, you're eating fat, then it's going to be circulated through the chylomicrons to every cell of your body. But ultimately, it's, you pick it. But we've been taught, brainwashed, you need 3 meals and 3 snacks a day, which is the lie. And even as a carnivore, you don't. I say 1 meal or none.
Excellent. Okay, let's see. There was a question that just popped up. Have you had any periods of Nikki? She asks, Nikki M, did you have any periods of regression?
No, because I wouldn't want to go back to where I was. Occasionally when I travel or a special occasion, I might have a few bites of something else. But no, I don't want to go back to where I was. So no.
It's our mindset that is critical, because I never use the word cheat.
Yeah, I don't either.
I never regret. Oh my God, I had some pasta last night. Do I lose my shirt over it? No. Okay. But do I have it of any significance or frequency? No. Yeah. But again, it's as you think, so shall life be, and the thoughts you think. And would you say that it's the fat content in your diet, Mimi, that's the most important part of this journey?
For me, it is. For me, it is. And I make sure I get plenty of it. I mean, that was a turnaround for me for the neuro symptoms. And I had nighttime dystonia, which is very painful as well, along with this. So yes. And cognitively, I mean, I'm as sharp as can be now. And again, and I was a math minor, and I couldn't do 2-digit subtraction and division. I was losing it. So yeah, fat for me is really important.
But I want to remind everyone that keto, paleo, and carnivore are high fat diets. They're not low carb diets.
Yeah.
If you simply up the fat, I don't care whether you're a vegan, vegetarian, Mediterranean, pescatarian, or carnivore, it is a high fat, animal fat diet, which is truly the healthiest thing to eat. And so for all of us, it's a high fat diet that makes us truly healthy and reduces inflammation.
Yeah, it's been my experience for sure.
We have 30 people listening on Kilt's Mighty Tribe. How much does Kilt's Mighty Tribe cost to join and belong to an amazing community, Dr. Nelson?
Well, you'll discover if you go to drkilts.com and sign up that it's going to cost you absolutely nothing. You're going to have to give up your email address.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you have to give up your email.
Mimi, how important is community in this journey for you?
Well, it's been very important. It really has, and it's been a supportive community. So it's been good. And I'm not as active on Instagram, but I'm very, and that really has more to do with the how you post. I find X easier for me to communicate. But it's I think it's very important, and especially for people starting out and having a lot of questions and needing the support and getting simple questions answered. A lot of people will give it a try for 2 weeks, or 3 weeks and say nothing's happening. And it's like, no, you guys just got to keep going. And I think you get a lot of that. You have to keep going from a community.
Excellent. Let's see here. We've got 5 minutes left. Let's see if we get one more question done.
Marty Breeden, 61, lives in pain. Time is of the essence. Really suffered. Well, suffering is part of life for all of us, but thankfully, Mimi and others are sharing the story how carnivore, which is fatty meat lifestyle, just really, really significantly reduces and or eliminates so much of the pain that we're all been suffering from. Eat the fat, eat the meat, Marty. The pain will get so much better. It'll go away. The pain will push you. It'll be your inspiration to share and teach others. When you go to what center do you go to?
I work at the this senior center, which is a fitness and activity center, like 2 mornings a week.
How many people there are beginning to listen and learn about carnivore lifestyle?
A few. A lot just don't want to hear. I have a coworker who was just diagnosed, my story, diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. Didn't want my help. She's going the full gamut of the medicine. That was about 2 months ago. She said that. Just this week, she happened to be taking the second shift, and she said, "I'm ready to listen to you. Will you talk?" And I said, "Yes."
So I always say the words we speak, the activities we participate in, and the life we live is a soundboard that people are either watching or listening.
Yeah.
They just may not hear or understand it yet, but that's the mirror neurons are at work. As you see now, she's ready because
She's ready.
You've been there, you've been sharing it, because prior to you, who else was sharing it?
Well, not a lot of people, and I do have some that are amazed at my age, amazed how active. They'll see me work out there, and they'll ask, and unfortunately, a lot of them will say, "Oh, I can't. My doctor will only let me have steak once a month." And that's a hard one to override. And I had a team of 10 and good doctors. I had a team of 10 doctors. I had every physician except for a kidney specialist, and I had to override them.
So who's in charge of your health care?
I am. And I had to take responsibility and say, I'm going to hear your advice, but I'm going to do differently.
Yeah. I tell patients not to eat donuts, but I never go to their houses to stop them from eating them.
Right.
I mean, like, the red meat, or you don't have to ask permission from your doctor to try a different diet from what you're having right now, especially if your current diet seems to be contributing to how bad you're feeling.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of people haven't connected that. It is. I do see a shift. I wish it was a quicker shift, and a few that haven't connected. The definition of food includes all the stuff that's going to kill you in the grocery store that's packaged, and I don't even consider that food.
Well, it's not real food.
Right. No,
it's not real food. It's just because you can put it in your mouth, chew and swallow, doesn't mean it's food. It's
right.
You. Right. Nothing that comes
that's food
in a box. Nothing that comes in a box, a bag, or a can. I mean,
It's
there
food.
might be a few exceptions, but
Yeah, that's
You
pretty
know.
nice steak there.
That's food.
That's food.
That is food. I want to make an announcement that we're about to do the giveaway. So hashtag Mimi, hashtag Mimi.
and today at 3 p.m. we have another great story of healing.
We do.
Multiple
Be there, be
sclerosis.
square. Dr. Nelson, this is the last question just that it popped up. Can you answer this one? Stephanie Boyd, I have a young family member who is in kidney failure. She's 13. She was told not to eat no meat. What do you think about that?
There have been several studies, but 2018, 2019, it's not even a new study. We're in 2025. There was a big study that really a high protein in your diet is not going to cause kidney problems. And I was just reading this, and I don't know if I have a tab here open to post the study.
Fatty meat's what you want to eat. I'm wondering if a lot of kidney dysfunction is secondary to liver dysfunction, hepatorenal syndrome. So liver damage, kidney damage, organ damage, which is all plant protein, low fat diet. I mean, isn't that the simplest thing, Dr. Nelson?
Yeah.
Sharon's asking if the 3 p.m. it's going to be on YouTube.
It's on this same channel.
Yeah.
You're watching it now. Come back at 3 p.m.
Yeah, exactly. With Diane Ladd. Here we go.
All right, let's do the
thing.
Do the thing.
The giveaway.
Do the thing.
You got one more second to do hashtag Mimi.
Just do it.
Doing it. We're doing it.
Thank you,
Oh,
Mimi,
it's not
for being here.
showing. It's not showing.
There
There
we
you
go.
go. Sorry.
Yeah, it's showing now.
Prime rib. Wow, Thomas, good job. You want to kill this keto as carnivore book. Please email me, alia@drkiltz.com. I'm also, just one last thing, I'm going to put a survey in the chat. If everyone could just take a second at the end of the live stream and fill that out, that would be amazing. I'm putting it together for the coaching course we're doing, and I just need a few more answers to that survey. So thank you so much.
We got our certified certification keto carnivore course coming up. Excited about that.
It's
Mimi,
very exciting.
Where do people find you to get even more inspiration in sharing that you're doing?
So you can find me on X at Mimi K Morgan, and that's initial K. Unfortunately, my Instagram account got hacked. I had to start a new one, and that is Mimi Morgan K on Instagram. I'm not always on Instagram. I'm on Twitter.
X. We'll put links for everyone.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we need a survey also in Kilt's Mighty Tribe and online here about how many of our carnivore women have eliminated the need for hormone replacement and or alleviated symptoms of carnivore.
Excellent. We will get that done.
Yep. I think that's a big one. Big. All right.
Yeah.
Everyone, thank you. Mimi, you're amazing.
Thank you for
Nelson,
having me.
amazing. Alia, you're amazing.
Thank you, Dr. Kiltz.
Feliz dia a todos.
Yeah. Hasta luego.
Mimi,
Mimi, thank you so much.
You're welcome.